Welcome to another Honda CB200 video. Where we're at now is we're about to strip all this paint off the tank, top and bottom, and get rid of all this back to bare metal, ready for this hole, or holes as it may be, to be repaired. So in the last video, if it all went well, we were seeing the removal of the tank lid, the latch, and trying to remove the screw from in here, which I have still not had any success in getting rid of that screw, so I'll tackle that at some point. In this one we're going to carry on to the strip down, so we've got to take the knackered tap off so I can get all the paint stripper into here. I also, if you're working on CB200s or generally on the sort of the Honda range of older bikes, don't know about the new ones, these JIS screwdrivers, got these off eBay, didn't cost me a huge lot, and I tell you, I have noticed the difference on how easy it is to strip off the or to undo the screws, etc. On this bike since getting these screwdrivers. As I said, the Phillips head it's so similar. Basically these haven't got a point at the end. The Phillips, now where you can see on this, so you can see how the top is cut off at the top. It's quite flat, and that is the real difference between a Phillips and this. I mean, the angles are slightly different as well on here, but ever so subtly, but it's mainly there isn't too much of a point, it's not as deep. Anyway, get some of those. So that's the that's the broken knackered valve off. Right, so I've got the tank stripped all the way down now. So we've got the cap off, I've got the fuel tap off as well, and this is the stuff we're going to use, Starchem paint stripper. It's this is the bringer of the end of the world kind of chemical. So to do this, I've got myself some chemical resilient gloves, and I've got myself a full face mask. I've also got a full one-piece suit that I'll be wearing as well. So yeah, I don't think I've ever spoken about like health and safety and that kind of stuff in any of my stuff, because you know you're grown up, so you take responsibility for your own actions. So I think this sort of shows how serious I am about this stuff. This stuff looks like it is hardcore. It will eat out your eyeballs kind of stuff. So I'm going to get all this locked together, get it all set up, etc. Get myself sorted, get the tank on surface to get stripped, and we'll get this stuff on it, and we'll film just a bit of the progress as I go through. Right, so I've got the tank all sorted out, got all myself dressed up, etc. Got my chemicals. Let's start applying it. I haven't particularly scored the surface because it's a bit scratched in places, so we'll just see how it all goes. So here goes nothing. It's lifting the paint off quite nicely. Hopefully you can see that on this on the camera. Yeah. See if I can zoom in a bit for you. Some instructions online, and just give it a bit of a scrape and see what happens. so we've stripped all the paint off. I'm now going over with some really coarse sandpaper by hand just to get rid of any little extra bits of paint that are sort of stuck in places. And we'll have to get rid of all the rust etc because it's going to be sandblasted, but I just want to get rid of this surface paint that's in here. And there's that filler that is coming through from around there, so there is a bit of filler. I didn't think there was. But yeah, so this is what I'm doing. Just getting rid of this extra paint. Right, here we go, all stripped. So stripped on the outside, and there's the two bits of body filler that are in there. And there must be a dent or something there and there. Don't know when that happened. Don't know how easy it will be to get those dents worked out, but really need to have the filler taken out and then welded before it gets finished. But there we are. The next job now is to use the metal rescue to do the inside of the tank. As you can still see, it's a bit rusty in there, but only a sort of a flash rust. I hate these things. Lots of bits of rust caught under there, so hopefully they can clear that up when they blast it before they weld and then repaint. Tidied up the underside just a little bit, got rid of some of it. Made a coating of paint, but I'm going to leave that. There's lots of rust started which we need to get sandblasted before we can then finally make sure there's no other holes or no other surprises to catch us out. So I'm going to get set up for the metal rescue, mix up the solution, the concentrate that I've got, and then get the tap on this and get it into the rescue. I will try and film some of that and we'll go from there. So see you in a bit. Right, here we are. So this is the metal rescue process. So the tank is sitting in the tub and inside there, I don't know how well you can see, I think we are actually removing quite a bit of the rust from in there, to be honest. Looks a lot less rusty than it did, but I've no idea what it's like at the top here, so I need to keep filling it up. Unfortunately, we've got some more leaks. So I've got the hole that I know about, but I think there's some other holes maybe around here. And as the tank fills up, the pressure is then enabling the liquid to come out. I think the hole's very small. So I've set up a siphoning tube. Excuse me. So that's siphoning the liquid down into here. And hopefully we can empty out this from in here, put it back in the tank, and then come back and siphon it out to try and make sure that this is filled right to the top so that the entire tank is getting a de-rust process. But my guess is that as we remove more rust, more pinholes are appearing, particularly right down here in the bottom, which seems to be the main holy area. Seems to be where most of the liquid is coming out of. So I'm going to leave this siphoning for a bit until this tub is full. At the moment I've got the cap in there because that was a bit rusty. See how that does. And yeah, so yeah, we'll come back in a minute when this is all empty. We can then refill the tank and then probably just wait for it to then fill out again and then do the process all over again, just to make sure that we've got it in as much as we can in there. but it's not looking good for the repair process. I might need to think of some alternatives. I might even need to consider putting a tank liner in, which I'm not too happy about, but we shall see. So yeah, I'll come back in a moment and give you an update. So I've just emptied the first load of Metal Rescue in, and you can see the liquid dripping out. I've got obviously another hole somewhere underneath here, so alongside the 2 holes that are here, there's also more holes under here as well. And as the pressure builds up inside, as we fill up the tank with the Metal Rescue, it's enabling the liquid to come out through this hole down here. So the hope is that the speed at which it's coming out of the siphon into the tank is faster than the speed it's going in, though looking at that I'm not 100% convinced it's going to be slower, so that we can get more out than is leaking out, and we can then fill up the tank up here. But I must say I'm really impressed with this Metal Rescue stuff for the finish it's doing. I don't know how well you'll see in there, but I showed you some shots earlier on of how the tank's looking, and this was looking fairly rusty in here as well. So you know, I'm quite impressed. What I won't know is how good it's dealt with the top of the tank here until obviously I finish the process, which it's a question of how much longer I can play this game, really, of it leaking out and me siphoning it out and putting it back in again. So we shall see. But yeah, I'll come back with an update in a short time. Back in a bit. Right, it's been about half an hour, and I think I've sort of reached the equilibrium now, in that liquid coming out of the tank through my siphon into the reservoir to fill it up is now equal, in that as I siphon it out, it leaks out the tank. But you can now see that I've got the tank up to the rim, and yeah, I think that we've got more holes going on down here that I'd like. So I'm just going to keep this process going, whereby siphon it out and then put it back in the tank. But at least now I'm able to fill the tub up with the excess liquid now. I just need to try and keep this up probably for the rest of the day. Right, it's at a stage now where, you know, it's leaking mixture out of it faster than I can re-siphon it back in again. So I'm gonna empty it out. So the process is, need to empty it out, and then I need to dry it as quickly as I relatively can. So I've got a hairdryer sorted out. So yeah, let's empty it. So I'm going to put a bit more back in to help swill it out. I'll just put some more in off camera. So you get that off, and then I'm just going to carry on drying it. So I'll get the hairdryer and get drying it. The instructions say that it has got some rust inhibitor in it, so you know, I've got a little bit of time to dry it. It shouldn't sort of suddenly instantly flash rust, which is a big problem. I can't see any holes underneath that have started. It just does seem to be this one on this end. But let's get the that is pretty impressive. Let's see if I can get you a shot. So, don't know how well you're going to make out this in here. Not really focusing, but it is looking really nice and de-rusted in there, looking really good. So I'm going to dry it off on the outside, then get a hairdryer, dry off the inside, and then we'll use some of the anti-rust solution. So back in a bit once I've got the hairdryer sorted. Right, it's now just a case of drying out the tank as quickly as possible. So I've borrowed the old wife's hairdryer, and I'm just going to try and dry the tank out as quickly as I possibly can by heating up the whole thing and just trying to dry it off as quickly as possible. I'll not film all of this because it's noisy and boring, but yeah, this is just the idea: get it dry as fast as possible.